Today we'll be discussing the forms of market in an economy. In this lecture, we are going to understand what is a market, what are the essential constituents of a market, meaning and basis for classifying market structure, forms of market structure. So let's begin. Market is like the nervous system of modern economic life. Producers and consumers carry out their transaction for sale and purchase through the medium of market. In the layman's language, market refers to a place where goods are purchased and sold. In economics, market refers to the whole region where buyers and sellers of a commodity are in contact with each other to effect purchase and sale of a commodity. Let's move on the essential constituents of a market. First, area. Market is not related to any particular place. It spreads over an area. The area becomes the point of contact between buyers and sellers. Next is buyers and sellers. Buyers and sellers should be in contact with each other. However, contact does not necessarily mean physical contact. Commodity. There must be a commodity which will be sold and purchased among buyers and sellers. Competition. The existence of competition among buyers and sellers is also an essential condition for the existence of a market. Next, the meaning of market structure. Market structure refers to number and type of firms operating in the industry. The main factors which determine the market structure are: first, number of buyers and sellers. Number of buyers and sellers of a commodity in the market indicates the influence exercised by them on the price of commodity. In case of large number of buyers and sellers, an individual buyer or seller is not in the position to influence the price of a commodity. However, if there is a single seller of a commodity, then such a seller exercises great control over the price. Next is nature of the commodity. If the commodity is of homogeneous nature, that is, identical in all respects, then it is sold at a uniform price. However, if the commodity is of differentiated nature, then it may be sold at different prices. Again, if the commodity has no close substitutes, then the seller can charge higher prices from the buyers. Next is freedom from movement of firm. If there is freedom of entry and exit of firm, then prices will be stable in the market. However, if there are restrictions on entry of new firm and exit of old firm, then a price can influence by the firm as it has no fear of competition from other or new firms. Fourth is knowledge of market condition. If buyers and sellers have perfect knowledge about the market condition, then a uniform price prevails in the market. However, in the case of imperfect knowledge, sellers are in a position to charge different prices. Mobility of goods and factors of production. When the factors of production can move freely from one place to another, then a uniform price prevails in the market. However, in the case of immobility of goods and factors, different prices may prevail in the market. Now let us move to the forms of market structure. Market structure is classified into two: perfect competition and imperfect competition. Imperfect competition is further subclassified into three: forms: first, monopoly; second, monopolistic competition; and oligopoly. Let's understand each of them one by one. Perfect competition. Perfect competition refers to a market situation where there are very large number of buyers and sellers dealing in a homogeneous product at a price fixed by the market. In the perfectly competitive market, sellers sell a homogeneous product at a single uniform price. The price is not determined by a particular firm but by the industry. We can take an example of a market for agricultural goods like wheat and rice. In case of wheat, there are numerous buyers and sellers. As a result, no buyer and seller can significantly affect the market price of wheat. The features of perfect competition are: first, very large number of buyers and sellers. In a perfectly competitive market, there are very large number of buyers and sellers. The implication of this is that an individual seller cannot influence the market price, as the sellers are so large in number that the share of each seller is insignificant in the total supply. Similarly, a single buyer's share in total purchase is so insignificant because of their large number that an individual buyer cannot influence the market price. Next is homogeneous product. The product offered for the sale in the market are homogeneous, that is, the products sold are identical in all respects like size, shape, quality, color, etc. Freedom of entry and exit. Every seller has the freedom to enter or exit the industry. There are no artificial or natural barriers for entry of new firm and exit of existing firms. Next is perfect knowledge among buyers and sellers. Perfect knowledge means that both buyers and sellers are fully informed about the market price. Its implication is that no firm is in a position to charge a different price, or no buyer will pay a higher price. As a result, a uniform price prevails in the market. Last one, perfect mobility of factors of production. The factors of production like land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship are perfectly mobile. There is no geographical or occupational restriction on the moment. The factors are free to move to the industry in which they get the best price. Under perfect competition, a firm becomes a price taker. Price taker means that an individual firm has no option but to sell at a price determined by the industry. Under perfect competition, an individual firm cannot influence the price on its own, as its share in the total market supply is negligible. Therefore, a firm plays no role in price determination. It can affect neither the supply nor the demand of the market. So, firm is a price taker and industry is the price maker. Each firm has to accept the price as determined by the market forces of demand and supply. Price is determined at a point where market demand curve intersects market supply curve. Let us understand this through a graph. In this, the market demand curve DD and the market supply curve SS intersects at a point E, at which OP price is determined. The price of OP is adopted by the price taker firm, and the firm is free to sell at any quantity from OQ to OQ1 or any quantity at this price. This makes the AR curve perfectly elastic and thus parallel to x-axis. Next is monopoly. Monopoly is just the opposite of perfect competition. Monopoly is derived from two Greek words. Monos means single and polis means a seller. Monopoly refers to a market situation where there is a single seller selling a product which has no close substitutes. For example, railways in India. Let us look to the features of monopoly. First, single seller. Under monopoly, there is a single seller selling the product. As a result, the monopoly firm and industry are one and the same thing. The monopolist has full control over the supply and price of the product. However, there are large number of buyers of monopoly product and no single buyer can influence the market price. Next, no close substitutes. The product produced by a monopolist has no close substitutes, so the monopoly firm has no fear of competition from new or existing products. Restrictions on entry and exit. There exist strong barriers on entry of new firm and exit of existing firm. These barriers may be due to legal restrictions like licensing or patent rights. Price discrimination. A monopolist may charge different prices for his product from different sets of customers at the same time. It is known as price discrimination. Price maker. In case of monopoly, firm and industry are one and the same thing. So, firm has complete control over the industry output. As a result, monopolist is a price maker and fixes its own. It can influence the market price by changing the supply of the product. Let's understand monopoly through a graph. Output is measured on the x-axis and price and revenue along the y-axis. At a price OP, a seller can sell OQ quantity. Demand rises to OQ1 if the price is reduced to OP1. So, demand under monopoly is negatively sloped as more quantity can be sold only by lowering the price. Monopolists face a downward sloping demand curve. Let us move on to monopolistic competition. The market structure, which shares the features of both perfect competition and monopoly, is known as monopolistic competition. Monopolistic competition refers to a market situation where there are large number of firms which sell closely related but differentiated products. Market of products like soap, toothpaste are the example of monopolistic competition. The features of monopolistic competition are first, large number of sellers. There are large number of firms selling closely related but not homogeneous products. Each firm acts independently and has a limited share of the market. So, an individual firm has limited control over the market price. Large number of firms leads to competition in the market. Product differentiation. Each firm is in a position to exercise some degree of monopoly through product differentiation. Product differentiation refers to differentiating the products on the basis of brand, size, color, shape, etc. The firm produces products which is close but not perfect substitutes of one another. Freedom of entry and exit. Under monopolistic competition, firms are free to enter into or exit from the industry at any time they wish. However, it must be noted that entry under monopolistic competition is not as easy and free as under perfect competition. Lack of perfect knowledge. Buyers and sellers do not have perfect knowledge about the market conditions. As a result, a particular product is preferred by consumers even if other less priced products are of same quantity is offered. Non-price competition. In addition to price competition, non-price competition also exists under monopolistic competition. Non-price competition refers to competing with other firms by offering free gifts, making favorable credit terms, etc., without charging price of their own products. Let us understand this through a graph. Output is measured along the x-axis and price and revenue along the y-axis. At OP price, a seller can sell OQ quantity. Demand rises to OQ1 when price is reduced to OP1. So, demand curve under monopolistic competition is negatively sloped as more quantity can be sold only at lower price. Firm under monopolistic competition faces a downward sloping demand curve. Let us now understand oligopoly. The term oligopoly is derived from two Greek words: "oligi" means few and "polion" means to sell. Oligopoly is a market structure in which there are only a few sellers of homogeneous or differentiated products. So, oligopoly lies between monopolistic competition and monopoly. Oligopoly refers to a market situation in which there are a few firms selling homogeneous or differentiated products. In India, markets for automobiles, cement, steel, aluminum, etc. are the examples of oligopolistic market. Features of oligopoly are: first, few firms. Under oligopoly there are few large firms. Each firm produces a significant portion of the total output. There exists severe competition among different firms and each firm tries to manipulate both prices and volume of production to outsmart each other. Second, interdependence. Firms under oligopoly are interdependent. Interdependence means that action of one firm affects the action of other firms. A firm considers the action and reaction of a rival firm while determining its price and output levels. A change in the output or price by one firm evokes reaction from other firms operating in the market. For example, market for cars in India are dominated by few firms: Maruti, Tata, Hyundai, etc. A change by any one firm, say Tata, in any of its vehicles, say Indica, will induce other firms, let's say Maruti or Hyundai, etc., to make changes in their respective vehicles. Barriers to entry of firms. The main reason for few firms under oligopoly is the barriers, which prevent entry of new firms into the industry. Patents, requirements of large capital, control over crucial raw material, etc. are some of the reasons which prevent new firms from entering into the industry. Only those firms enter into the industry which are able to cross these barriers. Fourth, nature of the product. The firm under oligopoly may produce homogeneous or differentiated products. If the firm produces a homogeneous product like cement or steel, the industry is called perfect oligopoly. If the firm produces differentiated products like automobiles, the industry is called differentiated or imperfect oligopoly. Last one is indeterminate demand curve. Under oligopoly, the exact behavior pattern of a producer cannot be determined with certainty. So, demand curve faced by an oligopolist is indeterminate or uncertain. Let us understand oligopoly from a graph. Output is measured along the x-axis and price revenue is measured along the y-axis. At price OP, a seller produces OQ level of output. The demand curve is kinged in between at point E, which shows the optimum point at which a product must be brought into the market. In an oligopoly, firms operate under imperfect competition. Demand is relatively elastic because all other firms' prices remain unchanged. Below the kink, demand is relatively inelastic because all other firms will introduce a similar price cut. The motivation behind this kink is the idea that in an oligopolistic competition market, firms will not raise their prices because even a small price increase will lose many customers. This is because competitors will generally ignore price increases with the hope of gaining a larger market share as a result of now having comparatively lower prices. This was all about the forms of market in an economy.